Okay, so traditionally in my in-person class, we do, or I should say, my BLAW class, we do an in-person in-class exercise where I run through several examples of intellectual property. And actually, what I have the group do is run through the examples, identify them, and for most of the examples, there's also a story or a vignette that goes along with it. And it's an in-class exercise that usually goes over pretty well during the last week of class. So we didn't get to do that. So I wanted to talk about a few, and I'll make available links if you want to read more. So we're looking at the Oregon duck. All right. Um, perhaps you've seen this logo. Recently, Oregon has de-emphasized this logo and went more with just the regular O in their proprietary font or their trademark font. But this is still a protected trademark. All right, but there's a story behind it. And if you look close, the duck looks familiar um, because it's Daffy Duck, right, which is a Disney trademark. All right. Um, and so the story goes that Walt Disney himself was friends with, well, it actually was an Oregon fan and also was friends with several members of the athletic staff and allowed the University of Oregon to use Daffy Duck because, of course, the University of Oregon's athletic team plays under the mascot, the Ducks. Um, and so Walt Disney himself, during his lifetime, allowed the university to use Daffy Duck as a trademark, or let me allow the trademark Daffy Duck to be used as mascot for the University of Oregon. All right, and that was a handshake agreement. So there's no documentation other than reference, and then a track record of the University of Oregon using the duck. All right. Um, I've linked an article you can read through. At some point, the Walt Disney Company decided that Oregon had differentiated their duck sufficiently to the point where it was not mistakable for Donald Duck and granted them permanent license effectively. So that's where it stands now. But initially, this logo was used by a handshake agreement from Walt Disney and the University of Oregon Athletic Department. Okay. Uh, Georgia G. All right. So you guys know I'm from Georgia. I went to Georgia. Um, and this logo is used for the athletic teams and the university itself. Um, and in the state of Georgia, it's unmistakable. But when you get far out of the state, particularly in Ohio, oftentimes people will say your Green Bay logo is the wrong color, you know. Um, and so this logo is in fact it's trademark, but it's Green Bay Packers, their football team's logo. All right, so the University of Georgia and many other universities, Grambling State University, Gainesville State University, and there's really quite a long list, uses this logo. All right. And if you've ever wondered, particularly during this unit, how your little league baseball team is the Cincinnati, is the Reds, or the Yankees, how does that happen? How is that not trademark infringement? Well, I will tell you that every major professional sports league, be it Major League Baseball, the NFL, the NBA, or the NHL, allows for the usage of their logos and even modification, as in this case, the color scheme's changed for not-profit entities, for not-for-profit entities. So that's how your Little League team can use the Reds logos without fear of being sued, right? Every professional sports team allows for this. All right. Burger King. All right. So this is Burger King's logo, but the name Burger King is also trademarked. All right. Now, I've referenced at several points in time common law trademark protection versus trademark registration for national and really international protection. And there's a good example here because when you see this logo, you think of Burger King that was formed, it was a Miami-based company for a very long time. Until recently it became merged with Tim Hortons, or was took over by Tim Hortons and became a Canadian company. But you know what this is, and you know there's Burger King probably not far from you. You've eaten there, but that wasn't the original Burger King. So in Mattoon, Illinois, the original Burger King is founded. It's a single location. I've never been there, but from what I've read, it reads kind of almost like it operates like a Dairy Queen, like their specialty is ice cream and burgers. And that actually was the original Burger King, but they never bothered to register their trademark. So when Burger King, the Miami corporation that many and most of you are familiar with, established that name, as long as they don't compete in Mattoon, Illinois in a 20-mile radius, the trademarks really are both valid. So the mom and pop Burger King in Mattoon, Illinois can continue to operate without suit from Burger King because they were actually the original Burger King. The Burger King we know and love, well, maybe not love, but that we know and are familiar with, can continue to operate under the name Burger King. Because they have the federal trademark registration that's valid everywhere in the United States and most of the world, except for Mattoon, Illinois, and a 20-mile radius therefrom. All right, and I've linked an article to this if you want to skim it or read it to get a bit more info about it. The Monkey Selfie. All right. So the story goes, and maybe you remember this news story, there was a photographer who had set up a camera for some wildlife photography and then left his camera unattended. All right. So in comes this monkey who figures out how to operate the camera. And of course, the first thing this monkey does is take a selfie, which you can see on the screen. All right. And the photographer tells this story and, of course, sells the photo as copyright owner. Well, PETA and another animal interest group sues the photographer on behalf of the right that it wasn't the photographer's copyright. It was actually the monkey's copyright. All right. That case was unsuccessful. So the idea that a monkey can own a copyright fails in that case. All right. So the photographer does in fact profit off this picture, the one that you see on your screen, and owns the copyright, even though he did not actually take the picture. Okay. 12th man. All right. And if you're an NFL fan, you've seen this in the Seattle Seahawks, or the home of the 12th man. But this is in Seattle, right? This is Texas A&M that we're seeing on the screen. And of course, Texas A&M is the trademark holder of the term the 12th man. And they have this whole story. I'm not sure it's true, but that, at one game, someone got hurt and several injuries, and a student came out of the stands and put on a number 12 jersey and finished the game. That they beat, I believe it was either Texas or Arkansas. And, ever since then, they've had the tradition of the 12th man. I'm not even sure it's true, but they do trademark the term. All right. Seattle Seahawks started using the 12th man as well without permission. Texas A&M sued, settled, and they have an ongoing licensing agreement where both can use the term the 12th man. Seattle Seahawks have to pay to use it, and they have to avoid certain social media venues, i.e. Facebook and Instagram, I believe. Okay, so that's Texas A&M's 12th man and also Seattle Seahawks. All right. Harley Davidson, but we're not talking about the logo. We're talking about the way a Harley motor sounds. All right. So Harley did apply for to trademark the way a Harley motorcycle sounds. And so one of the things and one of the reasons that intellectual property is so expensive to monitor is you have to monitor everything your competitors do. So Harley made application and all of their competitors faulted. There's a public comment period. And so BMW and Honda and Victory all said you cannot trademark the way an engine sounds. It's a byproduct of, just exhaust, right? And Harley did not fight this. They withdrew the application. So we don't have a definitive answer as to whether you can trademark an exhaust note. But for the time being, it looks like you cannot. Harley didn't say, we're going to sue to have our day in court. They withdrew the application because they did not believe that they would be successful in their suit. Happy birthday song. All right. So used to be copywritten. There's an interesting story here. I'll link it. It's so it used to be thought of as copywritten, and that's why when you would go to a restaurant, they would not sing Happy Birthday. They would sing some other bootlegged rendition of Happy Birthday because the original version was thought to be copywritten by Warner Brothers Music. All right. Turns out the copyright was invalid. Nobody bothered to challenge it. And so the song Happy Birthday now is in the public domain. So anybody, if you've ever noticed, most restaurants still don't sing it, but they could without fear of being sued by Warner Brothers. All right. Eiffel Tower at night. So the Eiffel Tower at night is it's animated with lights, and it'll do various shows, and waves run through it. And if you've ever been there, it's neat to see. The city of Paris does in fact hold a copyright to the nighttime lighting. Right. So if you take a picture of it lit up, I've got one on the screen. Don't tell anybody. Our video of it animating, posted on Facebook or YouTube, it will be removed, right? Because the lighting of its Eiffel Tower is copyrighted. Okay. Air Force Ones, Nike. You guys know I'm a sneakerhead, so this one was on my radar. So traditionally for a sneaker, and then we're not talking about the logos or the name or the brand Nike. We're talking about the shoes themselves. Now, traditionally, that is something that you would have a design patent for, and a design patent would last for 14 years. But if you're Nike, why not try to trademark them first? Let the USPTO reject it and say this is not trademarkable. This is a shoe. You need to do a design patent. Why not try for the trademark first? Because if you get a trademark, you can protect it forever. And that's exactly what Nike did. They applied for the trademark. expecting it to be rejected, and then they were going to apply for the 14-year design patent. Well, the patent was granted. I'm sorry, let me say that differently. The trademark was granted. So Nike can forever protect the Air Force One tennis shoes in this style, all right? Which means no other company can make a shoe that looks confusingly similar to this. Okay, so those are several IP examples for your, just since we didn't get to do the in-class exercise. Okay, so last piece is, the last example is the facial tats on Mike Tyson's face. All right. And so tattoos are copywritten. All right. And I'm sure many of you, as you hear this, have tattoos. And so the thing to keep in mind, though, is that unless you specifically bought the copyright from the tattoo artist, you don't own the copyright. All right. So when it comes to Mike Tyson's facial tats, Mike did not buy the copyright and therefore didn't own the copyright. The tattoo artist does. Now the story here, the third in the Hangover movie series, they released a trailer, all right, a promotional trailer, and the last, and the scene, there was a scene in which Ed Helms' character had a copy of the same tattoo that Mike Tyson has on his face, all right, and it announced a specified release date. Shortly after the trailer came out, there was a press release that the movie was not coming out on the release date. Well, what happened was the tattoo artist, Mike Tyson's tattoo artist, had sued Sony Pictures for copyright infringement. All right. I.e. the copying of Mike Tyson's tattoo onto Ed Helms' character. All right. And keep in mind, at that point, the movie was done. Final edit. It was ready to ship to movie theaters. All right. So Sony Pictures was in the position of cut the scenes out of the movie and redo the movie, and then honestly still have to be sued by the tattoo artist because the trailer had already been released, which was infringing. Or option 2 was negotiate a license with the tattoo artist. And of course, they went with option 2, even though it still most likely proved to be expensive. It was probably cheaper than redoing a finished movie. All right. So it was an undisclosed amount. So I don't know exactly how much the tattoo artist got because it was an undisclosed settlement. But my strong suspicion is the tattoo artist received a settlement that is in the realm of generational wealth that he's able to pass down to his children. All right. And it's also a safe bet that he has not missed a meal. The tattoo artist, that is. So that's the story behind Mike Tyson's facial tats. And as you get tattoos, something to think about. You don't own the copyright. So unless you, theoretically, your tattoo artist could do the exact same tattoo on the next person, unless you, in addition to paying for the tattoo, also purchase the copyright. Okay.